Hello, hello, and Happy New Year. Oh my goodness, it feels like it has been so long since we've done a live. I apologize as I was planning on doing some towards the end of 2023, but life was lifing, and so had some family stuff get in the way. But that's all right. We are here at 2024. My name is Jackie Boyd, and you are at Cozy with the Care Plan. This is our retro, our first logo, and retro image. So and colors too. But I'm so happy to be with you all tonight. And where I am at, it is Tuesday the 9th. I am here in the Midwest, and it is pretty darn cold. It is snowing outside my window, so this is a perfect night to be talking about self-care tools. And I just want to start by saying thank you so much for being part of our community. I love when we get to connect. I appreciate all of the messages that you all send in the meantime. And please do, here at the start of the year, tell us what you want to know. You know, we try to do these conversations so that you have a chance to learn more, to feel empowered and understand whether it's caregiving or how to run a successful organization. So, here at the Care Plan, we want to know, what are your burning questions? What would you like to learn about this year? And how can we be of most help? So, all that to the side, let's talk about self care. Now, self care is incredibly important no matter what your definition, no matter if you think you're doing a great job of it or not. And we have had the opportunity to be in a lot of rooms the last few years. And, you know, I've really been thinking about ideas like collective care, community care. And while those concepts are really powerful and I think something to strive for, my experience in both social services and healthcare has let me know that those systems are going to take a while to change. You know, the high needs, the nonprofit nature of most of the work, the fast pace, and the, I think, historic lack of appreciation for healthcare workers and social service workers that will take time to overcome centers for me the importance of self care. You know, many of the people who watch our information, many of you out there, whether you're a caregiver, whether you are a young professional, whether you are the head of an organization and feel, you know, that frustration that comes with not being able to have a limitless budget and give people all the time off you'd like to give them, and all of the challenges that, you know, sort of compromise where we're at with where we want to be. Just know that self care is still going to be an evergreen set of skills that most of us need for many years to come. And I think I'll start by sharing a little bit about why it's so important to me. You know, I've been all of those things I mentioned: caregiver, social worker, healthcare worker, for gosh, well over 20 years now. And every year is different. You know, I learn things about myself every year. I grow and change. The systems change. The challenges change. But, you know, the need to trust your own counsel, to believe in your own values and creatively solve problems, all of those things are part of what makes the work really rewarding. And so, you know, in those industries and in my own experience, there are times that, you know, you get so worn down that your body lets you know you need to pay attention to it and care for yourself. And then there are times that your friends or your coworkers will let you know, right? There was a workplace I was at once where it was kind of like a family. You know, it was on the floor of a nursing home, and it was the same team all the time, and we all got along really well. And one of my team members was just a little off that day. And by a little off, I mean kind of a little short. And so I said to her, one of our team members said to her, "Oh, what's going on with you today? What's wrong with you? Do you need some self-care time?" Because she just wasn't herself. So sometimes our bodies let us know, if you're having headaches or if you are having difficulty sleeping, you're not taking joy and pleasure in the things that you used to. Those are some initial signs that you might be burning out or overworked or in need of some self care. But as I said, also friends, family, coworkers can let you know. But for myself, I really try to keep self care almost like always on the back burner, always thinking about, well, where am I at in this moment? What might I need to get through this day? What might make me feel cared for at the end of this week? I used to have a group of friends that we'd have social worker Fridays, which is we all knew we were too tired to go out. So we'd just order pizza, hang out, watch movies on Friday nights. And that was the get together. And it was so restorative and low investment financially and low investment in planning and time. So it really made it just a wonderful way to detox at the end of the week. So you probably have things you've done in the past, some of which may be accessible and still work for you, but we are all changing and growing. So what used to work may or may not work now, which really leads me to my first tip, which is stay curious about yourself. Stay curious. You are in some ways a different person every day. And that's a good thing, right? You were not born and evolved and grew and learned everything you've learned to stay the same. You are always changing. And so giving yourself room to change in terms of what brings you joy, relief, pleasure, minimizes your stress. Let yourself be curious. And this lesson, hi Marnie, I'm so glad you're here. It's good to see you. And if you have anything you want to add or if you want to come on the live, you are more than welcome. There's an open space, open forum. But, this lesson of staying curious became incredibly important, I think, during COVID, when most of us did not have access to our usual tools, right? You might not have been able to go to the gym. You might not have been able to go to your faith community or church. You might not have been able to see your friends, and something like I mentioned, that sort of social worker Friday, not accessible for, a year during COVID. So what do you do? That's where getting curious comes in. Letting yourself think about and dream about what might be nourishing to me now. In the last 3 years, some of the things that I've discovered just about myself are that, was I ready for the alone time? Sometimes when you're a giver and you're somebody who is other focused, it can feel like you don't need that much alone time. But throughout the last few years, I've realized, gosh, actually, I am a person that really, really, really is restored through alone time. And that's okay. But I need to build it into my life. Some other things that I discovered were that meditation saves me from anxiety. I had dabbled in meditation at different stages of life, but through COVID, I was like, I really, really should see if this works for me, not just as a nice to, but as a have to. So it's become much more a part of my regular day-to-day practice. I'm not going to say I do it every day, but the days I do feel like they have more hours in them, and I feel much more patient. So stay curious about yourself. Are there things that maybe you've never tried that you think might be good for your self-care? Right? Have you given yourself the room to really take significant time off? Now, significant may mean different things to you than it does to the person next to you. But, for me, there had been years where I hadn't really taken a real vacation. And just taking a week off, no phone, no email, I thought maybe I wouldn't enjoy it, but I really did. So give yourself the room to think about what are my needs now, what might work for me, and how can I be not just surviving, right? Not just at that threshold, but how can I be nourishing myself? Which brings me to my second tip, which is pause. Please pause. Please breathe. Please take a moment for yourself every single day. And I say that because the pace the world goes at is so fast and it sweeps us up. It's like a river, whether it's that to-do list for work, your family, or loved ones that need you, or just things you want to do, right? I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to do that. Pause, pause, pause. Listen to yourself. Pause and breathe and listen again. We are so accustomed to hearing from the outside world. We are much less accustomed to just sitting in quiet or letting our thoughts wander or giving ourselves room to think about things from different angles. I find that the pause is really a great tool for preserving relationships as well. So it can be a self-care tool and it can be a tool for others. Now, what do I mean by this? Have you ever seen people who are in an obvious pattern of communication? Good, bad, or otherwise, right? I think about couples who bicker, who obviously love each other, but there's a lot of bickering. And I just think about, well, gosh, I bet if one person communicated a little differently or was quieter or, made the laughs about something else, that their whole dynamic could shift. The pause can be really, really helpful for yourself to listen. It can also be so helpful to listen to others. So instead of sort of the patterns of communication where you're talking at each other or you're trying to persuade or tell each other things, just being able to take that pause so you can really listen, sometimes asking the person to repeat themselves, repeating what you heard, slowing down the pace of communication for yourself and for the people you love, it can really, really be so helpful. And Marnie, I wonder if there's anything you want to add here, even in the chat, because from our conversations and time together, I know that you're an excellent communicator and you have a really nice pace about the way that you communicate, which I think, I call it resistance, like resisting the flow of communication around us that says we've always got to be talking or doing or learning or taking in information or watching social media or ba 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 ba, and pause and breathe and reset. So I hope that's helpful and I hope that that makes sense to folks. Hi, Krishan. So glad you're here. I've shared so far the tips around staying curious about yourself and pausing and listening. Krishan, I see that Cozy with the Care Plan, and we are here to share some tips about how to care for yourself in the new year. So, Krishan, I'm going to try to bring you on right now. Let's hope it works. And everybody who's watching, thanks for your patience and thanks for being with the Care Plan here in 2024. Krishan, if you can hear me, I'm trying to get you to go live with me. But for some reason, it's not letting me. Okay. Krishan, I don't know if you want to pop out and then pop back in, but for some reason, it's not letting me have you join. But I'd love for you to join. So try, if you don't mind, try again. The third tip that I have around stay curious, pause, is to define what self-care means for you. And there's a lot of great tools out there. Self-care is a place that means different things to different people, and even that term brings up different ideas, right? Sometimes when I'm in a room talking about self-care, people are like, well, I don't really take long baths and I don't need to get my nails done and, these traditional ideas of self-care or what some people think of as self-care. That's just that it's almost stereotypes, right? Like this is what self-care means. Self-care means whatever is caring to you, whatever is soothing to you, whatever is nurturing to you. And making the time and investment to be proactive about that, right? Self care is, uh, I think about it as the hug right before you need it. And I know that's a little cheesy, y'all. I'm a Cancer, so I'm a sensitive spirit. But I think about it as, getting that hug before you're just totally, depressed, sad, and need that hug. Self-preservation is about when you've already gone too far, when you haven't been cared for or been able to care for yourself, and you are truly burned out. You're at that edge, you can't go much further, and something has to give. Self-care is much more positive than that, but how it looks should be specific to you. What works for me, great if it's helpful, but please take the time to sit with yourself. Think about what might I enjoy, what brings me joy, what brings me pleasure. I think self-care as a dream board or a vision board activity can be really, really powerful, right? Because so much of how we accept care lives in our bodies and is an art, not a science. Typically when I'm in rooms with folks and I say, how are you doing with self-care? People say, oh, not great. I don't make time for it. There's things I know that I enjoy, but I don't make time for them or I don't do them consistently. Defining what self care is for you and taking yourself seriously enough to invest, it is evergreen. It will help you be sustained in your life, in your relationships, and in your work. That piece about taking yourself seriously. I want to say a few words about that. And I hope I can find the right words. But one of the things that I realized during COVID is that most people do not know how precious they are. Most of us have no idea how truly precious we are, how unique, how powerful, how filled with possibilities and filled with history we are. The fact that there will only ever be one of us, ever in the whole history of humanity. There is nothing more precious or rare than you. Nothing more precious or rare. We can find diamonds. We can find gold. We can find platinum. We can find the things that society tells us to value, but we cannot and never will find another one of you. So taking yourself seriously means letting yourself actually have that light on you for a moment and think about, my goodness, if I gave a fraction of the thought, process, work that I give to other people, to myself, what would that look like? What would that look like? To really just give yourself a moment and say, oh my gosh, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, I'm taking care of business, I'm working to live, I'm, pursuing some things I hope that you're passionate about and taking care of family and friends. But imagine if you spent even a fraction of that time thinking about just what brought you joy, what you enjoy doing, what might stretch you or grow you. I so much of the way that I've set up the care plan is a response and a critique of um, traditional capitalist businesses, right? That are about producing and the bottom line and, money over everything. And that's a critique that I have in our healthcare system as well. I don't think it's economically just. But it took taking my community seriously to come up with something new, right? Because this is just the way that healthcare is. And so throughout the course of launching the business, I had to pause. I had to say, if I'm going to do this differently, if I'm going to go to the trouble of creating something new, how can I care for myself and others in it? How can I have a just organization? And how can I stay on the right side of right ethically and in terms of balance, right? I don't want to replicate the harm that I've seen in other systems. So sometimes, this concept of sort of tools for self care, sometimes it just affects you, and that is enough. It is enough if you are doing things for you. Sometimes it can be a model for other folks, and sometimes it can be woven into how you do your work, how the rest of your life looks, how you communicate with the people that you love, how you build an organization, how you care for your loved ones. Once you start to take yourself seriously, it changes the pace. I was actually just talking with my sister about this the other day. How one of the lessons that I learned from our grandparents, my grandfather passed away in October this year. Grandmother's still with us, thank goodness. But one of the lessons I learned from them was about pace and was about the pause. Because they are Southerners, they live in Arkansas, and I would visit them with the family. But visiting them on my own, I always felt like it was so slow. And when I was a kid, I would use the word boring. It was so boring when I visited them. And that's, sort of the less kind version of myself. But the truth was I was a kid and, in my 20s and had energy. And even just last year when I visited, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to really slow my pace down. But I realized that that was the pause. It was a pause to say, be here now, sit in these moments, because what looks like them just watching TV or making meals or talking about church, what is happening is the relationship. It is self care because there's no rush. These are people who are retired. There's no place they had to be, nothing they had to do, no reason to go at a faster pace than they felt like. And it was such a powerful moment for me to remember the pause and remember pacing as tools for self care so that we don't, get ahead of ourselves, make poor decisions, make mistakes. I've found since then, I'm always telling myself to slow down because I find when I don't, that's when I make mistakes. I drop something or I, forget to turn something off. Like it's just, these are things sometimes that happens, as we get older. And so I noticed that for myself, actually, it's a really great self care strategy to just go slower. And I'm so thankful to my grandparents for those moments of pause together. Uh, so those are just some of the tips that I had for you tonight. Stay curious, pause, take yourself seriously, and define what self care is for you. So those are just some things that I want you to take into the new year. But beyond that, please remember how precious you are, how there is only ever going to be one of you. And we need not just what you do in your day to day, but we need for you to be well and to see what this world has to offer for you and to keep growing and changing. Life is too short to do anything other than that. So thrilled to be with you all tonight. Hello, CCHE. I hope you all are doing well. We are just wrapping up our conversation on self care. For everybody who's in the room, what is one thing that you hope to do to care for yourselves in the week ahead? Because I'll be seeing y'all next week here too for Cozy with the Care Plan. So, what's one thing you all are going to do this week to care for yourselves? I think mine, I love sleeping in. I just do. So I think on Saturday, Saturday and Sunday, I'll try to sleep in and do a little bit of meditation and yoga after I wake up. So I think I'll have a nice slow start to the day. Spend about an hour taking care of myself over the weekend, both days. But what are you going to get into? Put in the chat or send us a message And as always, if you have any needs, if you are in need of healthcare advocacy or care navigation, reach out to us. Likewise, if you're an organization trying to create a healthier culture, or if you're going to be having team retreats coming up this spring, or strategic plans coming up, reach out to the Care Plan. We are here for you as well. Until next time, take good care, everybody, and thank you for being with me tonight. Bye bye. Oh, yeah, sorry. That was a fake out. Hi, Marnie. Please do ask a question about the LGBTQ plus leadership circle. For folks who are curious, actually, this Wednesday, tomorrow night, the 10th, we'll be having the Comparing Notes session. Comparing Notes is our once a month peer leadership circle for folks who are established or emerging leaders who are LGBTQ plus or BIPOC. So what we do is we get together and we talk about challenges that we're having, ideas that we have. It's sort of a thought partnership group, and it is available for $40 down to free for folks at different income levels. So we hope to see you tomorrow night, and everybody take good care.